Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and the lady that you hear moving juice cans or something in the background is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. We are doing our pillow talk remotely. I'm actually in Houston at the Power Networking Conference with George C. Frazier, and my wife is still in Chicago. But we decided to do a pillow talk. So first, I want to ask my lovely wife, how are you doing today, babe?
I'm doing okay. You called me out with my. I was making my coffee, so I'm not on my pillow. I'm on my coffee. That's what I'm
Oh
doing.
yeah. This I guess your mic is good because we can hear the stirring and the cups clinking and everything else. And I want to say hello to Arel and Terrence and Ilha. Shout out the city you're from. Let us know what city you're coming from. Let's see, Nelly, King of Hearts. Let's see here, Chris Places, Turner, Ira. Let us know what city you guys are coming from because I like to see what cities you're coming in from. El Haj, what's going on, El Haj Harris? It's so good to see you, brother. It's always great to see you. And also, I'd be remiss not to start off by mentioning that we actually have a sponsor for today's podcast. And today's podcast sponsor, the first one I'm going to throw out there is mobileemergencyhousing.com. This is a great company. I believe it's a black-owned business run by someone by the name of James Joseph. And mobile emergency housing, it provides emergency disaster housing for insured homeowners who are displaced by a house fire or natural disaster. If you're a homeowner that's been displaced by a house fire or any natural disaster, call 888-201-7999. That's 888-201-7999. And they are a certified minority-owned company. Now, does that mean black-owned? I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like a good company. And I know that that's a real thing because my aunt and my actually I had two uncles on both sides of my family in the last 3 months that actually had their house burned down and needed mobile emergency housing. So this is real stuff. So shout out to them for supporting the podcast. And also, if you'd like to sponsor an episode or get a shout out on the episode, then just go to drboycefinance.com. That's drboycefinance.com. We will put your business out there. We will market your platform. We will blow you up and put you on blast. It's the least we can do for you supporting us. You support us, we'll support you. All right. So with that said, now that we've gotten that kind of done, I want to ask you all this: yes or no? How many of you are familiar with kind of the controversy surrounding Russell Wilson and Sierra? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you've heard any of the discussions about Russell Wilson, who is now playing for the Denver Broncos. He was a quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks for many, many years. And they should have won a Super Bowl. They just had bad coaching from Pete Carroll. They cost them a Super Bowl when they didn't hand the ball to beast mode in the last play of the game. So they lost to the Patriots. So football fans know what I'm talking about. If you're not a football fan, you probably think I'm talking crazy, but y'all get what I'm talking. If you saw that game, you saw that game, and you'll never forget it. But anyway, Russell Wilson is a great athlete. Sierra is a great singer. And unfortunately, like everybody else, they have a past. And Sierra's past actually happens to involve the future. Isn't that funny? Her future is in her past, and she dated this guy named Future. Future is an R&B, or not R&B, I'm sorry, hip hop artist who is known for not necessarily promoting family values. Let's say that, unless you consider family values to mean 8 kids with 8 babies, mamas, and also promoting a lot of drug use and stuff like that in his music. A lot of stuff that some people find objectionable and challenging. Well, here's the deal. So just to give you kind of a quick recap, and then I'd like to get my wife's kind of take on this. Since Sierra left Future, she was engaged to him for a while. She allegedly, this is the report in the media, that they broke up the engagement because, surprise, surprise, he liked the ladies. He was dipping his dipping his fork in lots of plates and lots of bowls that it shouldn't have been in, and she just got tired of it apparently. But nobody knows, nobody's perfect. There's always two sides to every story. So she now is married to Russell Wilson. She's been married to Russell for 6 years. They have a beautiful family, and a lot of people love what they see, at least online. And people have actually called Russell Wilson a square. They've kind of said, Sierra's only with him because of his money, and nobody would want to be with a square. Why would you want to be with a square like Russell Wilson when you could be with a guy like Future and his 8 babies, mamas, and in a mass promotion of drug use in the Black community? So I'd like to pass the ball to my wife and ask her, what say you, Dr. Alicia? What are your thoughts on all of this?
I'm so happy that Russell Wilson finally addressed some of the online chatter about him being a quote unquote simp. Like, I do see some value in just ignoring and doing your thing. They have a wonderful Facebook page where all they do is promote positivity. They promote all of these wonderful images of healthy Black love, beautiful blended family. Everybody seems to celebrate all of the achievements in their lives, and they get to do all these wonderful things, and it's great to watch. So I just applaud them for smiling and keeping it moving and not really caring what everyone else says. But at the same time, it was nice that he finally addressed it, but he addressed it in such a nice little savvy way where he's just like, I'm squaring up. I'm giving my wife flowers and I'm letting you all know that I'm squaring up. So I think that's just, I think it was smart. It was a smart response. And when you're secure in your own manhood, you don't feel like you have to dip your fork all over the place. You know, when you're secure in who you are as a person and you know your worth, you find a woman who knows their worth, and both of you all living your best life. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the display of love.
Okay, so you're just enjoying the display of love, all right? And
Yes.
just for those who aren't aware, the way Russell Wilson cleverly responded to some of the chatter, which is coming from a small select group of mostly Black men. It's not like the whole Black community is saying this. Is really a select group of men who have their, a different perception of manhood, different perception of, relationships. And he basically just jokingly said, when he gave his wife a bunch of flowers, as a special gift, he surprised her somewhere, and I think in the caption he said "square up," and I thought that was a great way to address it without really addressing it, and I agree. I think that the best way to kind of handle people who have critical things to say is to really accept the idea that they're probably just not coming from a good place. A lot of times, if you really look in the backgrounds of guys who think that men who are engaged in self-destructive behavior represent manhood, or men who are bad fathers. I mean, Future's been sued for tremendous emotional neglect that he's placed on his children. I saw a birthday party apparently where he did something crazy at the party and was threatening the mother and all this other stuff. This is traumatic for kids. And the idea that we think that that's cool really kind of speaks to the fact that there are so many of our people that have been traumatized. And they say, well, I was traumatized as a kid. Every Black child should be traumatized. If you're living a happy life and you're not getting beaten up every day, and your daddy didn't leave you on the street corner, then that means that you're weak, or you're a punk, or you're a simp, or you're a square. And what I like about Russell and Sierra, at least based on the public image, I'm sure their marriage isn't perfect, like any marriage is not perfect, is I like the fact that they just kind of say, you know what? No, we want to be happy. We really want to live our best life. And I don't, because if you look in the lives of some of these rappers, their lives are crazy, chaotic. They broke, on drugs. Nobody loves them, like no real love. Kids are mad at you because daddy was off making records or whatever and smoking blunts while the kids are trying to get taken to school every day. And it just kind of creates like this weird culture that we have embraced. We've come to love the things that are destroying us. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. It is. There's this message, and I hope to say that this message that's being put out, that Black men are irresponsible and Black men aren't raising their children properly and having all these kids that they're all around or whatever. I'm thinking that there's a counter message going on where you're starting to see a lot of Black men say, okay, whatever, this is the way I'm going to live my life and I'm going to show it. And so I think that there's another message out there saying this is not all of us. We are all Russell Simmons-ish, not Russell Simmons, Russell Wilson-ish, and we're all going to be, responsible in all of these things. And for every Russell Wilson type of a family, there's tens and thousands of us. I'm including us in this, boys. There's a bunch of us, all the people in the chat. There's probably so many of us. And we get so frustrated that the images out there just aren't representative of who we are. It's skewed to this tiny little small demographic. And I think that there's a revolution happening where where we're starting to see more of ourselves in the fullness of who we are and what we can be, and put that up on the pedestal. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, I want everybody to know real quick that you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, is a licensed therapist. She's been seeing clients for over 20 years, and she is also a full professor of social work. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do, or get a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, just go get on our newsletter at boyceandalicia.com. There's lots of free stuff, and you can learn a lot, and we will make your life better. So here's what I'm hearing from you, Alicia, and I agree with you. I'm at the Power Networking Conference right now with George C. Fraser down in Houston. And just this morning, I kid you not, I went down to the gym. I said, you know what? My wife has been pushing me to get on this treadmill, and I'm glad you do that, because I don't know about anybody in here that's over 40 or whatever. You probably know that the battle against obesity is a daily fight. Like so every day I get up and I say I'm going to fight, because I'm not going to get chubby. I'm going to get my butt down to the gym. So I go down to the gym at 7 a.m, and in the gym I met 3 Black men in the gym. Now, I want y'all to listen. See, these are the Black men that you don't see on TV. These are the Black men that they don't talk about. They want to talk about the ignorant guys, the criminals, the thugs, the morons, the destructive men, because those are the entertainers. Those are the ones that, the guys that's what they think of the Black man, right? So we're not really showing up as a stereotype. So media doesn't pay attention to guys like this. So the first Black man I met was from Nigeria, and we started a conversation, and it turned out, because I'm 1/3 Nigerian according to my DNA, and that was our tip-off point with the conversation. Well, this guy was a multimillionaire. He runs a major institute in Nigeria, and we were just talking about Nigeria, and made plans to connect. And one day, babe, just so you know, we did get invited to Nigeria, so just put that on your calendar. The second Black man I met was a Black man who was from Portland, Oregon. His name was Alan Bean, and Alan Bean was telling me that he was developing technology to build wooden skyscrapers. And that was a fascinating conversation, because I'm like, I didn't even know that you can build a skyscraper out of wood. I don't know. Give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of y'all knew that you can actually build a wooden skyscraper? Did anybody know that? Now process this, right? Which Black man's going to get the most media attention? The multimillionaire Black man who's heavily invested in education, the highly intelligent Black man who is developing technology for wooden skyscrapers, or the thug who wants to smoke blunts all day and get girls pregnant and throw all his money away with buying a 50-pound Gucci belt? Like, which man is going to get the attention from racist mainstream media? And it's, and what's crazy, and that we got to pay attention to this as Black people, is that these are the hidden Black men. And there's millions of you. And so let me tell you about the third Black man I met. I got to just pay respect. I'm sorry. So the first Nigerian's his name was Linus. The second brother, his name was Alan. The third brother, who I do not remember his name, but I kid you not, the third brother, he had some kind of business. And I can't remember what his business was. We only talked for a second. But he's making millions of dollars running his business. Where are these Black men? How come nobody talks about these guys? And we were all sitting there talking as a group. And nobody, these are all masculine men. We all love our wives. We love our community. We love education. And what's frustrating, I think, about the world is that men like this don't get the attention because they want to mass market the messages that are going to destroy young men and not put them in a position to be successful. What do you say?
Oh yeah, I totally get that. And the sad part about it is that when you have somebody like Russell Wilson, promoting all of these things that you're talking about, he gets all these critics. And, I kind of feel like it's almost like, how do you address your critics? You don't want to address them in a way where you kind of play into it, because really when someone's sending a message to you and they're criticizing you, so they can say, oh, Boyce is a simp. And when you reply to that, and when you respond to that, then you're feeding them. It's like you're giving them so much of your energy. And there are a lot of people who feed off of all that hate. And really, I don't even know. I think a critic, I shouldn't even say that. Critics are someone who has something constructive to say. I would call them, maybe, do people call them trolls, or just people who just want to be negative on the internet no matter what? Just spew out this negativity. And so it's a very dynamic thing on how to respond to it, because you have to kind of, in order to like go back and forth with someone, first of all, it's exciting to them because they're like, ooh, I made this terrible comment on Boyce's page and he's addressing it. And the receiving end of it, he's getting energy from that. He's like, ooh, there's a rush that happens when people spew all that negativity and play into it. So you have to come up with a really brilliant way, which is what Russell Wilson did, a really nice way to kind of address it, but at the same time, keep above it. You have to stay above your critics. But when you look at media, you look at all this stuff, it's just like you feel like it's an uphill battle. And at the end of the day, you just have to kind of turn it off and say, you know what, all that matters to me is what's happening inside of me and what's happening with the people around me. And those are the people I care and love. I'm gonna focus my attention on that instead of focusing my attention on outward. I think that's probably the only answer that all of us can do. But I think, Boyce, for you this morning, it probably was very refreshing to be in the company of all these people who are similar to you. These are your people who are at the gym at 7 a.m. And so those, that type of circle, these should be your friends that you hang out with all the time. I'm not saying that you need to be friends with them, but these are the type of people that you should hang out with. What do you
Yeah. Yeah, well, let me tell you, I met these brothers and I really felt at home. It was really great.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be a hardworking person who believes in intelligence and goal setting and investing and all these other things, and family and community, and to not feel like people think you're talking down to them. That's the problem, is that because we want to be humble people, we get around people that just aren't trying to really accomplish anything good, and they say, oh, you're preaching, oh, you think you're better than everybody else, or you got blessed and you got money, that's why you don't understand what it's like to be black. And you start to feel guilty. I don't know if anybody else goes through that. Give me a yes in the chat if you ever feel that way, if you feel like some of your relatives feel like you're being preachy or disrespectful because you simply want something better for your family or the people around you. And it is tough. It's really, really tough. And I think that what I think we have to do is, those of us that kind of get it, we have a culture too. When BET talks about the culture, and they're talking about hip hop and everything else going on in that culture, I think we have to, when we talk about the culture, when we're doing it for the culture, in my view, the culture represents strong Black families. The culture represents educated Black people. The culture represents taking care of our children. The culture represents responsibility and accountability. The culture represents working hard and building wealth and investing for the future. That's the culture. When I say I'm doing it for the culture, that's what I'm talking about. And I think a lot of people get that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because when I guess I don't ever use those words, I'm doing it for the culture. I'm just doing it. But I mean, in the sense of mental health, for a lot of men, it's just like manhood means you have this physical toughness and roughness and mental toughness. And to counter that is, no, real men do cry. Real men do fall in love. Real men are sensitive and have emotions. Everything doesn't have to be on this overemphasis on power and status and misogyny. Good grief. I mean, just to go out and have 10 children with 10 different women, I mean, that's not real manhood. That is like inflicting a whole lot of disappointment and a lot of hurt onto some of those women, because those are 10 failed relationships. And
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I cut you
say
off.
something?
Please.
No. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say though, those women who lay down and sleep with Future, they know what they're getting into.
Okay,
so I think more so in terms of hurting the feelings of the children. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, no real man should want to create a baby just so you can disappoint that baby your whole life. I mean, I
The
just
thing
think just
is,
generally as a
mhm.
principle of manhood, you should do things that are going to make your children proud of you, that are going to make your kids feel connected to you, that are going to make your kids look up to you. And so if you are a man who just splatters your seed everywhere to the point where your kids say, man, my daddy wasn't nothing, you should be ashamed of that. I don't care what kind of man you are, whether you're a hyper masculine man or a not so masculine man. That should be embarrassing to you if all your children are like, man, my daddy wasn't nothing. You know?
Yeah, the best, yeah. What you
Oh,
gonna
please
say?
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh
No,
yeah,
you go ahead.
the best way to love your child is to love the mom. Because in some instance, when you mistreat the mom and you're quote unquote loving the child is thinking, oh my goodness, if my dad is doesn't love my mom and I'm half of my mom, then my dad doesn't love me. So, children want to see their parents happy. They want to see their parents healthy. They want to see their parents live a fulfilled life, believe it or not. Children really, they want the best for their parents. And they don't want to see their mother or father or the people in their household, the people who are responsible for them. They don't want to see them hurt and in tears and in a terrible place and finding, whatever it is, all of these things. They don't want to see that. They want to see their parents happy and in love. And I think it's like put your differences to the side and be able to demonstrate that type of respect, basic level of respect, to the other parent, so that the child feels like, oh wow, so my parent now respects me. It's an unconscious thing that happens in children. Yeah,
Mm. Well, everybody, you
yeah,
listen
that's
to Pillow.
manhood. Go ahead.
Well, everybody, you listen to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a finance professor. My wife is a professor of social work and also a licensed therapist. If you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does, then please visit coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, I want to give a shout out to another company that is helping to sponsor this podcast. It's Ancient Healing Teas by Amina Shakita James, and it took me a while to learn how to properly state her name. And Amina Shakita, if you are hearing this and I said your name wrong, please forgive me. But her website is ancienthealingteas.com. And she says if you are experiencing fibroids or looking for a natural solution, check out Ancient Healing Teas. They have products for fibroids, PCOS, endometriosis, and fertility issues. Amazing success stories at their website, which is ancienthealingteas.com. You can use the code BOYCE15 for a 15% off your order. So that's BOYCE15, all one word. I'm going to put the URL on the screen. And shout out for supporting the podcast. If you'd like to also get your business or your website or your YouTube channel shouted out on the platform, just go to drboycefinance.com. That's drboycefinance.com. And I'm going to put Ancient Healing Teas website on the screen so you guys can see it. So let me hop into this. So you were talking about, babe, earlier you were talking about money, power, and status. All right. So that led me to a thought. I was thinking, okay, so what does that really look like? And I get that. I don't think there's anything wrong with men wanting money, power, and status. I think that's something me, I'm old school. I believe that's what men want. Men, we want power. We want to be successful. And so let's kind of look at this. So here you have Future versus Russell Wilson. Future is apparently considered cool by some. Russell Wilson is considered by some to be a square. Let's kind of look and let's ask ourselves. I think we should ask ourselves this question: what makes Future so cool? Let's start with Future. What makes Future cool? Well, he's got a lot of talent. He's a great artist. In certain ways. I mean, I wish his music had different content, but it is what it is. He's right, has a right to say what he wants. He's famous. I believe he's got some money. I don't know how long that money is going to last because 8 babies mamas are expensive, and I would really hate to try to take that lottery ticket and be baby mama number 9. Baby mama number 9 is going to be married a guy where she has to share her husband's resources with 8 other households. And all those households are going to be showing up to pick up their check every month. I don't know how easy that is to sustain. So that's Future. And then you talk about Russell Wilson. Well, what makes Russell a square? Russell's considered a square. Everybody says he's a square. He's a square. Okay, well, is it his talent? Is he, give me a yes or no. Do you think that Russell Wilson is as talented as Future? This man has been one of the top rated NFL quarterbacks for many, many years. He just got signed with the Denver Broncos. He's world famous. He's known for being one of the best quarterbacks around. He's famous, just like Future is. Now, money wise, he's probably got more money than Future, and will have more money than Future. Russell Wilson, y'all may not know this, but Russell Wilson is reportedly on his way to signing a contract with the Denver Broncos for $250 million. $250 million. Now let's just be clear. Future ain't gonna sell enough records to make $250 million. Future will never have $250 million. So again, if you want to just get into that simple criteria of, well, who's the most successful, who's the biggest baller, Russell Wilson could buy Future's whole family 18 times over and still have money left to burn. Also because he is focusing his resources on one family and not trying to raise 8 at the same damn time. Future had a song, got 2 bad idiots at the same damn time, at the same damn time, at the same damn. So you trying to take care of 8 babies' mamas at the same damn time. You can't afford that. Russell Wilson could, though, because with $250 million contract, that would be about $30 million per baby's mama. That would be, he can afford that and still have money left over. So I'm just sitting here trying to understand what black man in his right mind would think that the guy who's gonna literally be stressed out, whose kids don't respect him, who's gonna probably go broke because he can't afford all those women and all those kids, is cool. Let's not forget about the fact that he mass promotes drugs that kill your brain cells. Russell Wilson works out. He stays in shape. He's not destroying his brain cells. Apparently Future is, because he raps about Molly and Percocet, very dangerous drugs. So how is that cool? But the guy who's got the $250 million contract, who loves his wife, whose kids will honor him, even Future's son looks up to Russell more than he looks up to his own damn daddy. Why in the world would you say that second guy's a square unless you are either incredibly immature, mentally ill, don't know all the facts, or you just have some bad examples in your life? And if that's the case, I feel very sorry for you. What do you say to that, Dr. Alicia?
Yeah, I agree. People who make fun of Russell Wilson like that, I would assume that people who think that that's square, I would imagine they probably have a lot of depression and anxiety, and they're just projecting their own issues onto the situation. But I think it's so beautiful that Russell Wilson is doing so wonderful with a Black woman by his side. Like, he didn't become great until he committed to a Black woman. And I think that this is a trend that I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of men, the men who I follow or that I look at, especially when they get into like this public space where you can kind of watch their life and their career. I see big blow ups once they get and they're settled down with a Black woman. Like, their career takes off in some way. There's this synergy that happens between a Black man and a Black woman who truly love each other, and they're right by your side, supporting each other and doing these things. I really do see a glow up, not physically, but just in all areas of your life. This is the sort of trend that I'm noticing and I'm seeing. I think it's really great. And when you talk about that money, power, and status, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have money, power, and status. Like, all of us need to be ambitious and we need to have all that sort of thing. But where I think the issue comes, where it becomes connected with depression and anxiety, is when you put your worth as a man is solely placed on money, power, and status. I'm a man on a day that I make $1 million. I'm not a man on the day that I lose $500,000. It's just where you place your self-worth on all of these external things. And, that's where you start to have mental health issues. And that's where you honor somebody and look at someone just based on what they have. For women, it's mostly like physical appearance, or how I look. I'm only going to have a good day when I'm having a good hair day, or I only feel good about myself when I'm wearing the trendiest clothes or my nails are done. If that's not it, I don't feel good about myself. And so you're putting all this, your worth, on things that don't even matter. It would be so nice if all of us had high self-esteem. Our entire economy would just crumble, because our whole economy is built off of all of these people needing to have these things in order to feel good, not having a lot of material things. And it doesn't matter if you have it or if you don't. You're placing all of your worth on yourself, and you feel good whether you have a baggy t-shirt on or if you're wearing the latest trend. So shout out. I mean, I really love Sierra, because she wrote that song Level Up. She definitely leveled up when she went to Russell Wilson. So that was probably like her little dedication to her husband with that song. What do you think?
Well, I do agree with you. And by the way, I want to mention to everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. Could everybody take 1 second, please, and hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel? If you haven't done that yet, if everybody could just do that, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. If you could do that real quick for us, that would really help the platform. Also, you can hear this podcast on Spotify and Apple. So if you are not, if you're not a video or YouTube person, you can also hear it on all those other platforms too. And Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She sees clients. She's a therapist. And also the sponsor for today is ancienthealingteas.com. You can use the code word Boyce15 to get a 15% off discount. And they are a great healing tea for fibroids, PCOS, endometriosis, and fertility issues. Use the code Boyce15 for 15% off your order. And if you'd like to sponsor one of the podcasts or get a shout out for your business, just go to drboycefinance.com. That's drboycefinance.com, and we'll blow your platform up as much as we can. All right. So here's what, so I agree with you, right, about that whole, need to have external achievements in order to feel good about yourself, right? I'm not a man unless I make so much money. I'm not a man if I don't do X, Y, Z. I think that when it's taken to the extreme, obviously it's a problem, right? Because all of us, anybody who's ever been successful, give me a shout out if you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever, anything you've ever been good at, that you're going to have to face a lot of failure in order to achieve success. Like, you're not going to sort of get everything you want the first time out. It's not going to be easy. You're going to get a lot of setbacks and everything else. And so what I have learned how to do, at least is what I try to do, is, when I fail, I never feel like I'm less of a man when I fail than I am when I succeed. I don't feel like success or making money is the requirement for me to be the man. What's required for me to feel like a man, to be honest with you, is doing my best. That's it. Doing my best. So if I fail and I did my best, then yeah, I'm a man. And now also remember this: being a man is different from being the man. So you have guys like Russell Wilson who just want to be the man. So Russell Wilson will go and really want to win a Super Bowl or really want to win that football game, and he's against a bunch of other strong men, and he doesn't just want to be a man. He knows he's a man. He wants to be the man. Right. And I think it's okay for Black men to say, I want to be the man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I think at the same time, you are right, though, that there has to be a fundamental underlying value system that allows you to still feel good about who you are, even if you don't get the prize or get the trophy or get the money, etc. Because I know a lot of great men who don't make a lot of money. They have regular jobs. They get up, they do their best every day. They show love to their children and their family every day. And in my view, that makes you 100% of a man. Now, I'm gonna be honest though. I don't give out a manhood card to every man I see though. If you have a wife and kids that you're neglecting, you don't care about your kids. If you don't even get off the couch and try, if you're destroying yourself and destroying the people around you, hurting other people on a regular basis, that's a type of manhood I can't get with. Maybe you're still a man in some people's eyes, and I think in hip hop, you have a lot of guys that feel like they're the man or whatever, but some of the things they're doing are really hurtful to other people. That's where I have to draw a line, because like when I told our son, I said to him, I said, look, the criteria of being a man, in my view, is to ask yourself one basic question. Are the people that you care about, are their lives better or worse because you're around? If their lives are markedly better in multiple areas that you can point to, that means that you're doing your job. If their lives are worse, if everybody's traumatized because you're beating up mama every time you come home, you're coming home drunk, beating up your kid's mother, and your kids are scared to death of you, or you're not handling your responsibility financially, and so the whole family's homeless now, even though you had an opportunity to get them out of that situation, or you're choosing to do things that are hurtful, you molest somebody, you're stealing from people. If their lives are worse off because you're around, then that means real men are going to have to check you on that behavior, because that is anti-family, anti-community, and ultimately anti-black. So I think what we have to do as black people is be very careful about glorifying anti-black behavior. That's my 2
Oh my
cents.
God. Yes. And if people were to do that, I would go out of business. And I really hope, it's true. And I really hope one
Okay.
day I really do hope one day I go out of business. Like I want to be able to, I want to work myself out of a job.
You won't.
Because it is, so many times it's my everyday existence here. And yeah, I would so love it. And just know that when you're talking, I love when you mentioned it's so important to do your best. And that is just so important, because you win some and you lose some. You cannot change that. That is one thing. I think they call it like a universal law, that universal laws are things that just is. Like you cannot change it. Like you just have to ride with it. So you have to go into whatever you do knowing that you're going to win some and lose some, no matter what. But you have to be committed to what it is that you're doing. So if my goal in life is to educate the future generation of therapists, and I want to do a really good job at it, and that's all I'm focusing on, I'm always going to win and lose, but my focus is going to be on making that the best job. If my job is to help couples find clarity in their relationship, whether the relationship is dissolved or whether and they decide to move on, or whether they decide to strengthen their relationship, whatever it is, my job is to help people work through their issues to find clarity. That's all I'm focusing on. So those are the two things that I do every single day when I wake up in the morning. I'm trying to figure out, how do I get really great couples together, really great individuals together so that they can find love? How do I work with people so that they can continue to be committed to that whole process? And how do I help the next generation of master's students become, helpers and healers in our community? Those are the things that I do every single day. And so sometimes I win at it, sometimes I don't. And that's what I focus on. And I always look for an opportunity to get better, and an opportunity to learn from all the different fails. I fall on my face, I do all sorts of things like that. But I'm always I'm committed to those three things, no matter what the outcome. So I am doing my best. I get you, boys. I get you.
Well, everybody, do us a favor real quick. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe. Dr. Alicia, you can actually follow her at coachingwithdralicia.com. That's her website where she sees her clients and things like that. And also, my website is boycewatkins.com. So feel free to go there as well. So let's dig a little deeper into this thing with Future and Russell Wilson. So we were talking about Future and Russell Wilson. And basically, Russell kind of subtly responded to the people that were calling him a square by jokingly saying, we should all square up. I think that's awesome. Actually, I really like the way he responded. And the other interesting thing about the difference between these two guys is that when I look at Russell Wilson and what he and his wife represent, I think about this guy that I'm going to put on the screen. Some of you may or may not know him. Give me a yes or no if you know this guy's face. I'm going to put his face up there and give you guys a second to answer. This is a football player who had quite a bit to say about Russell Wilson and Future. Give me a yes or no if you're a real football fan and you know this guy's face. All right. So I see. Okay, Wayne says yes. All right. I see some yeses. I see some nos. Well, let me just tell you who this guy is. This guy's name is Channing Crowder. And Channing Crowder is an extraordinary player. I think I don't know if he's still in the NFL or used to be. But either way, though, he's on a podcast, and he actually started a conversation about future Russell Wilson by basically saying Russell was, I think he said a square, lame, something like that, and basically like, why would you pick Russell Wilson over a guy like a Future? Now, when I saw the comment, I thought that was really interesting, and I really kind of wanted to try to understand where he was coming from, and I'm going to agree with it's just me in the chat. It's just me actually is giving a foreshadow of what I'm about to say. Sometimes when you hear a criticism, you got to look at the point of view of the person that's making the comment, or any comment, not just a criticism, but any comment. And so with Shannon Crowder, I looked the brother up. I looked up his background. I really wanted to find out about his parents. What's his family situation? I know his father was a football player. He grew up in Pennsylvania, and he's been a great athlete his whole life. But it's interesting because there was one point in the podcast where he actually, according to what I read, he had literally said he went to play in London, and he literally said something like, I can't find London on a map. He literally said, I can't find London on a map. And then he also said that there's no black people in London. So when I read that, I said, okay, maybe he's not the brightest bulb in the tree. And now, no, don't get me wrong. He's a great football player, but he might possibly, at least based on his comments, he's sounding like he fits in. Someone might, if you want to be nasty, you could say maybe this is a dumb jock kind of thing. I don't know. But really, I think that this is a lesson for all of us. When you hear somebody criticize you, I think you should really consider the source. That's the point. If you're trying to start a business, you're trying to go out and make $1 million, and somebody says that's not possible, or you uppity, or that's stupid. Well, ask yourself, have they ever made $1 million? And if the answer is no, then what you got to do is challenge yourself at that point and say, why are you listening to somebody who obviously does not know what they're talking about? So Shannon Crowder, I don't know his personal life. I don't know. I know he appeared on the show called Ballers Wives or something like that, and I think he is married actually, if I'm not mistaken. But he clearly comes from a culture that's just one that's a little bit different from a lot of the people that are listening to this podcast. And so I think that when you talk about Russell Wilson, I think we have to definitely acknowledge that most people look at Russell and Sierra and they're proud of what they see. Not to put them on a pedestal. They're not better than anybody else. And I'm sure their family has challenges like everybody else. But I think that the majority of the Black community, the people that don't get all the attention because they're not on some big podcast where they could just say crazy, ridiculous things, most regular people, when they see a Black man with his wife and the children and the baby and everybody's happy, most Black folks like that picture. I don't know. Give me a yes or no if you see an image like this and it makes you feel good about being Black. This is Black love. This is Black family. This is Black wealth. This is Black excellence. This is Black intelligence. What is there not to love about a Black man and Black woman working together to achieve amazing things? I don't know. Give me a yes in the chat if y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, I really, really think when somebody can look at a picture like this and say, oh, that's a bunch of BS, that just tells me that they're probably not in the most positive space. Or maybe because remember this, because remember, the U.S. government spent many years working to systematically destroy Black families. Their goal was to destroy the Black family. Their goal was to put Black men in prison for 100 years, make the Black woman feel like she got to be Superman, and make these children grow up believing that having one parent is the ideal model of a family. So what you have to understand, Black people, is that you become addicted to the poison. And then my wife is actually an expert on addiction. I'm not making that up. She really is. You can talk about your credentials, babe. but I'm going to go ahead and step outside of my lane a little bit and say that when you think about drugs, like you think about a drug like heroin ain't good for you. Heroin is eventually going to kill you. Heroin's going to mess you up. But you can get to the point where your body can't even function without the heroin. And I think that that's what's happened. For us, the drug is trauma. The drug is broken families. The drug is pain. The drug that we become addicted to is just chaos. And for some people, when they don't see chaos in their relationships, they think, oh, well, this is boring, or this is lame, or you a square, or you a simp. Why because you're not bringing the drug to the party. What do you think, Dr. Alicia?
Yeah,
What's
I
your
couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more with you, boys. And I think that we all need to go into a detox program. We all need to detox. That's the biggest way to do it. Just quit cold turkey and just detox ourselves
It
from
be
the things that
calling
aren't
me, man. It
serving
be
us.
calling me.
It doesn't
Keep
serve
talking,
you.
please.
No,
And talk
yeah,
about
I mean,
talk about your background in addiction. I think people should know that, so they know they're not just listening to somebody who's just giving an opinion. What
oh
is your
my God.
experience when it comes to addiction? And you've taught classes on it, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've taught classes. Let's see, no, not this semester. Spring semester, next semester, I always teach a class on addictions and treatment of addictions and assessment of addictions. And it's multifaceted, of course, but a lot of it starts from trauma. And it's so funny. There's just like this mitigating process that the body goes through that helps to protect itself. So when you're confronted with a situation that is shocking or surprising, your body actually goes into shock. Like, have you ever heard of that story where like this man, he was hit by a car and he walked something like 10 meters or 100 meters away from the place where he got hit, and he had a broken leg and a broken pelvis and all of that, and people are like, how did he walk all the way through there? It's because your body is in shock. You don't even know what's going on. He was just walking,
Mm.
and I think he was on his way to pick his kids up from school. He got into this big car accident, and he's just like, his mind was like, I want to go pick my kids up. So he's trying to walk in the direction to pick his kids up, not even realizing that this really big traumatic thing happened to him. That is the body's way of dealing with dealing with this kind of trauma. You separate yourself from your body, which is a survival mechanism, right? The problem is that and eventually you're going to have to get back into your body and process what happened, and that's painful, right? You have to your leg has to be in a cast. You have to deal with your wounds. And what happens is a lot of people don't want to deal with their wounds. They want to continue to be disassociated and and nothing can do it better than an addiction. So, that's sort of the reasons why people gravitate, and it makes sense. It makes sense. If you don't have a doctor or a nurse or someone there who saw the trauma and can call ambulance 911 and help you deal with that pain physically and mentally, emotionally. If you don't have someone there to deal with it, you continue to be outside of your body. And so that would make you susceptible to dealing with addictions. You don't have the proper people in your environment that helps you process all of your feelings. That's why it's not good when we get into this toxic masculinity, that it's masculine not to show emotions. No, emotions is what makes you sane. It was what makes you mentally healthy. When you start to be addicted to money, that we just talked about it, making money, power, even workaholics are avoiding something. What are you avoiding that's painful in your life? And so that's basically the umbrella of why addictions are, oh my goodness. And I'm not even just talking about drug addictions and substance abuse. I'm talking about shopping addictions, gambling addictions. Like, it all has that sort of place in our brain to keep our body in this state of, I don't know, sympathetic nervous system, so to speak. It keeps our body in that state. And so, anyway, you have to deal with it. You eventually, sometimes, instead of numbing out, you're going to have to deal with it and get into your body and figure out what's going on. And part of that process is to detox from the drugs. But when people detox, you got to replace it with something. So it needs to be replaced with healthy behaviors. You can't expect someone to detox and they got nowhere to go to, so that is it in a nutshell in terms of addictions. And anyway, so what do you say to that, Boyce?
Well, I want everybody to know that you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and that brilliant, beautiful Black woman that you're listening to is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And if everybody could take 1 second and subscribe to the platform or hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Also, in case you don't know, we are on Spotify and Apple and a lot of the other platforms. So if you look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify, the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, you can actually find the podcast on Spotify. And also, I want to thank one of the sponsors for this podcast, Ancient Healing Teas. which are designed to help you with fibroids and PCOS and lots of other things that plague us. And you can actually get 15% off by using the code BOYS15 to get 15% off your order. Their website is right there, ancienthealingteas.com. So let's support Black businesses. If you'd like your Black business to get promoted on this platform, we have about 1 million subscribers on different YouTube channels. We simulcast in multiple places, not just one. You can go to drboysfinance.com and we will shout out your business. We will blow up your platform, and you guys can see that it's a win-win for everybody. All right, so let me actually hop in, babe. I want to mention something to you real quick. Somebody sent this during the podcast, and I want to just address this. I don't know if y'all know, Brittney Griner just got 9 years in prison, in a Russian prison. They formally sentenced her. And I guess now the ball's in the court of Joe Biden in terms of what he's going to do. Did y'all know this? How many of y'all knew about this? That Brittney Griner got 9 years in prison today. What do you think about that whole situation? I mean, I'd like to get your quick take on that, babe.
Oh my goodness. How helpless do we all feel? I mean, she's not the only one in prison. There are a lot of other U.S. citizens that are in prison, but what a heartbreak. And it looks like she's probably going to serve the whole time if they can't come up with an agreement. I thought they came up with an agreement, boys.
I heard that they offered to release, I guess, a Russian arms dealer in exchange for Brittney. So I think that there has been some conversation, some negotiation. I would find it hard to believe that she's going to end up serving the sentence. But what I really think everybody, so I hope Brittney gets out. I don't agree with what she did. I think that you got to understand the importance of respecting the country's laws. No question about that. But I don't think she deserves 9 years in prison. It just doesn't sit well with me. But the other part of me is feeling like we have to be cautious about sort of just over sympathizing with her just because she's an athlete. Remember that there are a lot of unfamous people who went to other countries, got busted, and have been sitting in jail for a decade. There are a lot of people. Any of you in here, LaShawn, Darth, and Darren, Darlene, Jason Diamond, if you went to Russia right now and decided you was going to put a little something in your suitcase and got caught, how many of y'all think, give me a yes or no, how many of y'all think that if any of us, including me, how many of y'all think that if any of us went to Russia and got caught with something in our bag and got 9 years in prison, that Joe Biden would come through and get us out of jail? How many of y'all think that? Give me a yes or no. Do you think he would do that? Go ahead, Ben. I only mentioned that. Oh, go you go ahead, babe. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I mean, I try to look at like what could come of this. Maybe a high-profile person being incarcerated with this draconian sentence, right? Maybe that will draw some more attention on all of the other unknown people who are going through something similar. Maybe this high-profile case will draw some attention, public attention and public sentiment to not even just Brittney Griner, but all the other people who are in the similar shoes as her. Maybe getting her out will start the ball rolling on getting a lot of other people out. I'm seeing it as kind of, I hate that because it's happening to someone that it's a public figure and we all feel kind of sorry for her. Her wife has been devastated by this whole thing. If you listen to her interviews, she really, she's really hurting. She's having difficulty connecting with her. I think they promised her that they would at least talk to each other or see each other in some ways, and they haven't been able to do that. And so just the pain that we're seeing from Brittney Griner and her wife, hopefully this will get the ball rolling for people to be more compassionate to the experiences of family members and individuals who are in a situation like this.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. I'm going to say that I don't agree that this is going to change anything about how the Russians do their criminal justice system. I don't think Brittney Griner's incarceration, or even if it were LeBron James being incarcerated, I don't think that's going to change how the Russians do things in Russia. And so even though I care about Brittney, I hate seeing her go through this. I have to challenge myself to not be overly sympathetic to the fact that because she's a celebrity, she deserves more attention than everybody else. I'm really thinking about everybody in here that's listening right now. I've traveled around the world. I've been to Russia. I've been to China. I've been to, Africa and places like that. And the reality that I need our folks to really understand is you go over there and you break their laws, ain't nobody coming to get you. Sometimes I think that we have this idea that American exceptionalism will come and save the day. That, oh my God, how dare you incarcerate an American? That you're going to pay for that because my president is going to come get you. He's going to shoot he's going to shoot missiles at your country if you don't come get me out. No, there's a lot of Americans in prison in other countries who ain't coming out for a long time. And a lot of them are locked up for things that would barely get a slap on the wrist in the United States. So just be careful, everybody. I mean, this, I hope Brittney gets out. For her family, I don't think she deserves any of this, but I really am also thinking about all the families of everybody in here, because believe me, if you're in Russia and you get busted like that and they give you 9 years, you won't even make the local newspaper. Like, it won't even be a conversation point in the media. I just really this should probably scare you a little bit, because Brittney's one of the lucky ones. That's what I mean. She's one of the lucky ones because at least we're talking about her. At least the president has acknowledged her. President Biden wouldn't acknowledge any of us. He would acknowledge me. I've got my million subscribers on YouTube and all that. He wouldn't give a damn about me. So go ahead, babe. What are your parting thoughts on that?
Yeah, it just, well, I mean, we have this war going on with Russia and Ukraine, and maybe things will change. Maybe things will change for the better. I'm a little more hopeful than you are with things. I'm hoping that we will see some progress in this area. We don't know. Like, there's some rumors that Putin has some health issues, so we don't know if he's, for whatever reason, needs to step down. I'm certain things might change. So I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful for the future. I don't think Russia can continue in this war the way that they're doing. I think there has to be an end to this eventually. And so I'm very hopeful with this whole Brittney Griner thing. And maybe there could be several prison exchanges, where we can kind of deal with our own issues on our own soil. That's my hope. That's my hope for it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wish you the best.
Yeah.
Well, and also everybody in here, I wish you all the best. And I want to remind everybody that we appreciate the fact that you check us out. We love you, and we are always here to support you. And in fact, if you in the chat or in the comments have a topic that you want us to ever address on a future Pillow Talk, just let us know. And I want to remind everybody that Alicia and I are going to be at the All Black National Convention. That's going to happen October 28th through the 30th in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a great big Black family reunion. It's the coolest thing in the world. You're going to love it. There's panels and experts and networking sessions and training seminars and just all kinds of awesome stuff that happens at the convention. Also, Alicia is going to do speed dating this year again, because it was such a hit last time. So if you want to just hang out with cool people who are from your community, who think like you, who want to build like you, go find your play cousins. Come and find your new relatives at the All Black National Convention. Bring your kids. We have a whole educational track for children. You're going to love it. So if you'd like to learn more about the convention, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. Right there, the URL's on the screen, and you can get your passes or sign up to be a vendor at the convention and get your discount hotels. We're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. So thank you all, everybody. God bless you. It was awesome talking to you, and also talking to you. It was great talking to you too, babe.
I know, it was so nice talking to you. And you know what? I think that we all should take a page out of Russell Wilson's repertoire. We should do the Russell Wilson challenge. Like, everybody should just give their wives flowers and then post it. You know what I mean?
What?
We should do the Russell Wilson challenge. Let's make that trend on the internet. Why not?
I like that. I think that's a good idea. All right. Well,
So you gonna
yeah.
give me some flowers? Wait, I think I see you tomorrow, right? You gonna give me some flowers
Yeah.
tomorrow, boy?
Yeah.
You don't. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
want to put that pressure on you. You don't have to give me no
No, you done
flowers.
challenged me to step my game up.
But
Okay, the Russell Wilson challenge. And what do y'all think about that? What do y'all like that? What do y'all think? I think that's a great idea, baby. And I can't wait to see you in Houston this week. If you are in Houston at the Power Networking Conference, my wife and I will be here all weekend. So we look forward to meeting some of y'all in person, and we love you. And hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And another quick thank you to one of our sponsors for today, ancienthealingteas.com. Go to those websites, the Black-owned business, and you can use the code word BOYCE15 to get 15% off. And if you'd like to get a shout out on this platform, just go to drboycefinance.com. We will shout out your business, blow up your platform. You support us, we support you. That's how this thing works. So we love you. Talk to you guys soon. Please have a wonderful day.